president of the Bermuda National Athletics Association, and Brenda Dale, who represents two organizations today, title sponsors of the Women in Sports Expo, Argus, and the Bermuda Olympic Association. Ladies, welcome to the show. We did want to just talk to you about the Women in Sports Expo. Donna, I know it's been something you've been working on for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about how and why women in sports.
Well, I have to say that Troy Douglas, our national coach, was the one that came to me and said, Donna, you should do something for women in sports. You know, so he says, you know, so many people know you, there's so many things going on in Bermuda for females. So I said, yeah, that's a good idea. I called Judy, who is the president of the Bermuda Olympic Association, and asked her what she thought of it. It was really interesting because Judy was away at the time attending an IOC meeting where they were talking about countries having women in sports activities. So it kind of fell at the right time. So when she came back, we talked about it. She brought Brenda into it, and we had a meeting. They formed a Women in Sports committee. And the first initiative of the committee was this Women in Sports activity. I always say, I don't know, you know, why I'd like to keep on going, because as you know, I just came back from Carifta, and as soon as we come back from Carifta, we're into this Women in Sports activity. So I guess I like licks or something, or I'm not sure what it is, but
excitement.
I guess excitement is the word. Okay, that's the word, excitement. But that's kind of how it came about, and then it's just growing. First of all, we were just going to have this expo. Then the committee said, well, let's have a banquet, because that would be nice. Women love to dress up, and, you know, we didn't get the opportunities to really dress, put on our long gowns or our cocktail dresses or whatever. And so then we decided, okay, let's have the banquet. Then we said, well, what about a 5K run, and how about a little girls rock 1 mile run? So this thing is just growing and growing. Then we said, well, who are we going to get to speak? And then we said, well, let's get some top international athletes. And I worked with David Lambert, and we had a few, you know, that we had asked, and they weren't able to make it. And then eventually we got to Lisa Leslie. So this is just growing and blossoming and blossoming. Then we had other associations come in and said, well, we've got Chrissy Wellington, who is the top triathlete in the world. She would be interested in coming. Okay, let's talk to her. Oh, Pauline Davis Thompson, I know her personally. Let's ask her. So every day, then we said, well, we need to bring in the Paralympians. So we said, well, we talked to Jessica. She said, definitely I want to come back. Then we had Angelique Forber-Pratt, who has been to Bermuda before. She competed in the Paralympics. And then we asked her. She says, definitely. So
wow.
Every time we looked, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But we are really, really excited about it.
That's good. And for you, Brenda, obviously Argus will be, how difficult was it for Argus to come on board and support women in sports?
Well, Argus is, you know, a leader in wellness and supports all sorts of wellness efforts, and Women in Sport is just a natural tie-in to wellness. So Argus is pleased to support both the Bermuda National Athletics Association as well as the Bermuda Olympics Association in Women in Sport Expo.
And so when we think women in sport, now I think of women sort of as just one in one particular body. Your wives, your mothers, you work, you lead in sport, you lead in community. I mean, when you think of a woman and her role in general, even though they may be leading in sport, most times they've got these other responsibilities.
That's right.
So how does have an event like this kind of highlight, you know, the woman, the total woman?
Well, one of the things that we are having during the expo is a panel discussion. And that panel discussion is going to touch on just women, and not just women in sports, but health. Because you think of that, you know, we have all of these, you know, cancer and sugar diabetes and so on and so forth. So we're going to be touching on those. So it's not just specifically women in sports. It's women in sports with health, women's issues, and so on and so forth. And those are the things that we're going to be talking about during the panel. Also, we've asked our speakers to talk about, you know, how did they commit to become a professional athlete? What did they have to go through to become a professional athlete? What did you have to go through to be a mother as well as being in sports? Because I know that. I have a son, and, you know, I say thank God all the time for my mother, because while I was traveling, my mother had my, you know, had my son, and so on and so forth. So I think when we talk about women in sports, we're really talking about women specifically, because when you talk about sports, you're talking about women that are out there walking. They're doing a sport. You know, you talk about women that just jog. They're doing a sport. Women that just play hockey for a pastime. Again, that's women in sports. So in reality, we are talking about all women in Bermuda, not just the women that participate in professional sports. We're really looking at women that participate in any sport, and that's one thing I want to get out. This is not about track and field, because people have come to me thinking this is a track and field event. It is not a track and field event. This is all sports across the board. Any sport that we have that females participate in, that's what we're talking about for this event.
Brenda, from the BOA and the IOC's standpoint, the International Olympic Association, where do they emphasize sport in general, but where do they stand, and where do you stand, your organization stand, as far as women participating in sports?
Well, the IOC actually has designated women in sport as one of the special areas that they're trying to get people to move on. So they're encouraging every country to have a women in sport committee and to work on women in sport initiatives. They actually have, so at all the different regional levels, there's a women in sport committee. We've invited them to attend the Expo. Bermuda has actually, in 2005, I was chairperson of a Women in Sport committee when Dale Butler was actually the Minister of Sport. So it has been something that the Bermuda government has looked at and has said we do need to encourage women to participate in sport, as Donna said, at all different levels, not just at the elite level, but you have to start at, as you know, at the grassroots in order to get elite. But for women in particular, the struggles, you know, as you've said, Gina, the struggles for women to become elite athletes are quite different than the struggles that it has been for men. So the IOC is very definite about continuing to support women in sport. We have in Bermuda, as I said, we had in 2005, we actually had a Women in Sport committee. We presented a report to the minister. Not a lot had happened thereafter with the recommendations of that report, but as Donna said, the Bermuda Olympic Association had put together and has said, we want to have a Women in Sport committee, so it's been revived. We now have a Women in Sport committee. As Donna said, the first initiative is this Women in Sport Expo. So we will be continuing. We're working with all of the sports governing bodies, and that goes right from badminton to things like rugby, to things like athletics, swimming, the whole gambit. So all the 26 national sport governing bodies in Bermuda are involved, have been invited to be part of the committee. And so we're looking at broad spectrum participation.
Wow.
And just quickly going on something that Brenda said about all of the different regions, associations. We're having several of our presidents, members of associations from the Caribbean who are flying in to the Women in Sport activity. We're going to have our own meeting on the Friday, but they're going to be also part of this activity. And we're talking about women from Canada, from the U.S., from the Caribbean who will be flying in for this activity also.
Now, you've explained to me that it's not just for women. It's a chance for men to learn a little bit about women in sports as well. So it's open to all?
Well, I think most men would love to come out to see Lisa Leslie, 6'8", 6'6", whatever she is. And we are saying for the men, definitely we would like to see men to come out for the banquet and for the expo, and to just tell you the 5K run walk and the 1 mile run is being run by men. We're even having a water stop where we're having some, as they call them, eye candy that's going to be giving us the water at our halfway stage in the 5K. So no, we are encouraging men to come out. I mean, when a woman goes out and she's all dressed up, you know, it's nice to have a male beside you escorting you to an event like this. And as I said, I think Lisa's story, especially with her playing basketball, relates to men and women anyway. You know, I mean, yeah, she might have had some different struggles, you know, playing basketball as a female, but we have so many basketball enthusiasts in Bermuda that I'm sure they would love to hear her speak. For whatever reason, we don't seem like we get really excited, you know, about someone of this level coming to Bermuda. I mean, you know, we've talked to people and they're like, oh yeah, you know, she's coming to Bermuda. And I'm like thinking, you know, if she went to Europe, I mean, you won't even be able to stop the people at the airport.
That's
you know,
true.
because this lady's coming in. But I just find, and I don't know whether it's because, you know, Bermudans are going to wait to the last minute, or they're just like, okay, you know, she's coming to Bermuda, that's nice. But I think it will be a shame if we don't have a lot of people out to listen to this lady speak on Friday. She has done a lot for women in sports. I mean, she's been to the Olympics. She's, you know, one of the first.
MVP 4 times.
Right, MVP 4 times. She's been to, you know, she's part of the WNBA. And I just don't see where our Bermudians get excited about this. And it's a shame because, you know, like I said, I think this lady has done a lot for sports across the world, not just in the U.S. or not just, you know, anywhere across the world. And I know anywhere else, they will be, you know, oh no, I've got to go and see her. And I don't, right now I'm not feeling that. You know, I'm not sure if, you know, maybe, you know, people are hearing it or whatever and they're not too sure, but I'm not really feeling the excitement. I'm excited. Our committee is excited.
Sure.
You know, but I'm not really feeling the excitement. But I think, you know, for us to even get her to come to Bermuda, it's not easy. I mean, we've gone through a lot of hoops to get her to come here, and I hope Bermuda comes out and supports her, not just this event, but supports her. You know, I mean, if we keep talking about sports tourism and we talk about all these different events, if we bring these people here and nobody goes out or comes out to see them, it's gonna die. You know, and I think we can bring people here of her caliber, but you know,
it's got to be supported.
It's got to be supported. This is the, you know, the inaugural event, but I would like to see people more excited and acknowledge, wow, we got a top international athlete. I mean, I see her on TV. She speaks very well. I've seen her on the, you know, sports awards. I've seen her on different awards. Someone mentioned to me, I saw Lisa Leslie on an award show the other night. She speaks really well, and she does. I've seen her, you know, but I just hope that, you know, Bermudians really get that this is a top international athlete.
This is a prime opportunity to hear the message of a professional athlete.
That's it. That's right.
And our own Bermudians
Yeah.
have been through.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
So it's
a
an
good
opportunity to hear the message from even our very own.
That's
you know?
right. That's right.
We have history makers that will be speaking.
Yes, we will. That will be speaking.
If you start talking about Janaea Wade-Free,
That's right.
she's the
Fantastic.
first Bermudian to
play
represent
in basketball.
You know?
Yeah.
So, who are some of the other speakers that you have?
Well, we have Lisa
Yeah.
Leslie. As you know, we've got Angelique Forber-Pratt. As I said, she's a Paralympian. She's attended 2 Olympics. We have Chrissy Wellington, who is 4-time Ironman triathlon champion, 2007 to 2009 and 2011. We've got Pauline Davis-Thompson, gold medalist from Sydney Olympics. You know, she comes from Bahamas. We have Arantxa King, and Arantxa, who has attended 2 Olympics. Again, we have Janaea Wade-Frey, as we know, represented Great Britain in this year's Olympics. We've got Paula Lewin, who again represented Bermuda in several Olympics, and then we've got our Aunt Jessica Lewis, who will be speaking, and again Jenny Smet, who represented Bermuda at the Olympics.